Welcome everyone to the Elephants on Business podcast, improving our small business journey together one episode at a time. In today's episode, we're going to discuss the tough topic or the difficult task of taking on your first hire. And the 5 things that we're going to talk about are knowing when to hire, defining your job description, getting into a working rhythm, the interview, and kind of the day one and ongoing management. But welcome, Oz.
Yep. Welcome. How are you?
So for everyone out there, hiring, I think, Oz, correct me if I'm wrong, is one of the toughest things because it's usually your kind of biggest expense and then the whole learning of working with someone.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a massive step for a small business to hire someone. So obviously if you're starting off at zero and, you have to make that leap and hire your first
There's a lot of stuff that comes with it.
Yeah, there's a few things that I think you need to obviously tick off. And
that's what we're going to try and discuss today. One of the things that we want to achieve is making sure when you're a small business is to grow, to have a crack and grow.
Yeah.
It's not all as bad as it seems. The world is not going to end in your first hire, but hopefully today we can talk about kind of our failures and things we've done before and just maybe those steps on how to try and get it correct.
Yeah.
So let's start at the top, Oz. I think many things that I haven't done when thinking about hiring is actually figuring out why am I hiring? What is the reason that I'm full or I'm at capacity and I need to hire? And so maybe we'll talk about kind of the 3 main reasons that we think why you maybe should think about before hiring. And the first one is, are you hiring to solve an unproductivity issue that you have?
Yeah. So is it something that you're have you utilized technology? Have you utilized the best capabilities to make sure that you're working efficient and making sure that you're getting your outcome as the business owner out? So if you're just lazing around and you're trying to solve for that just because you're being lazy, then maybe that's not the best thing to do.
And I think I find this a lot in speaking to business owners out there that when they're hiring, generally you want to be in a good frame of mind when you're hiring because you had a great point, things are going well, but it often seems like, and I've done this before, where you're hiring at what you are at a low point. You are exhausted. You are tired. You kind of maybe don't know where the business is going and you assume that hiring is the solution.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of business owners out there, I think, that would assume that, let's just hire and it will just take care of all my problems.
And that's the biggest risk in hiring is you need to know why you're hiring. That risk that you just said, I just hire because I think it'll solve problems, that is going to lead to disaster.
Yeah, really it does.
And it may not lead to disaster day one, but, you really want to define why am I hiring?
Yeah.
So the first thing is make sure you're not hiring because you are at a low point or unproductive.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're just fatigued from your business. Yeah.
Number 2 is you're looking for a skill set. Now, this is not a bad reason to hire.
This is a great reason to hire sometimes.
Essentially, you've kind of got your business to a certain level and you're happy with the way things are going and you feel like, well, to grow the business, I might need a certain skill set. I might need someone who's great on the phones, someone who's great with supply chain management, someone who's great at, I don't know, whatever it might be, sales.
Yeah.
But they have a skill set that maybe you don't have, and bringing a hire in would be a great plug-in to help you grow your business.
That's right. And then obviously that plug-in will take care of a certain area and then it'll help you move to, the areas that you're good at to improve, your certain business in that particular area. So, that's always a great one where basically you are hiring a certain skill to maybe unlock, maybe some future sales or certain things that particular hire will bring to the table.
And I find this is one of the most difficult ones because in certain industries, like if you're in the building industry, it's very easy to define a type of skill set you need. I need a carpenter. I need an electrician. I need this.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a cafe, I need a chef. Like they're defined skills. When it becomes kind of, because that kind of skill you can test, cook something, build something, show me other places you worked at or whatever it might be. The soft skills like sales or admin that you can't test, I find is very, very difficult. So really knowing what you want to do with that skill set is really important.
Yeah.
But usually this is one of the second reasons why people hire. I need a skill set to kind of grow the business. And the third one I think is probably one of the more stronger points to hire. You've made sure you're unproductive. So you made sure you're productive. You're productive. you kind of maybe know the skill set that you need, but you've kind of gotten the business to a stage. The third section is your business has got sales. It's flooding in. Things are working. Sales are coming in. You're doing the work. Profits popping out. And now you want to add someone into someone part of that mix to grow the business.
Yeah. Or there's a scenario where maybe your business is going well. You're at capacity, and you need someone to take care of your running the business. Yeah. And maybe you're going to move into the sales role, like as the director, or to drive that business forward. So you might take more of a role in, I'm going to try and increase sales, try and generate more clients, depending on what type of industry you're in. Therefore, you're taking on more of the sales approach, and you've got someone there filling in the gap
to do
of
the work or run the
doing
business.
The work, right? So and because you know how to do the work, you don't really necessarily need to hire, let's say, a
senior or a CEO and all that kind of fancy
because
stuff.
You plug in the
you're going to be right
areas
next to them.
That they're down, I guess, on.
And I think the hardest thing, so why we say like knowing why you're hiring, is because you need to be able to communicate that through these next points to the staff member. You need to know that your job is to do this because I want to go and do this. Your job is to take care of admin. I'm going to do this. Your job is to do the electrical work because I'm going to go and get sales.
Correct.
Whatever it might be, knowing the reason you're hiring. And sometimes it's very, very difficult to do that because you're so busy. You think about, I got to get a job ad up. I don't know how to pay. I got to talk to my accountant about all this kind of admin stuff. How much does it cost? It seems like there's a lot on your plate, and you sometimes forget that, what do I need this person to do?
Yeah, and not only that, sometimes when we see it from a small business, I've seen clients do this in the past, they try and hire someone to do everything that they were doing.
Yeah.
And you can't have that expectation on the staff member at times, because you need to really define, okay, we're hiring you to do A, B, and C, and not X, Y, Z, running the whole business. Obviously, if you're at a medium-sized business and you need some sort of manager or someone that's going to look up, then obviously there's a job description for that at that point in time. But when we talk about maybe a small business, on the first hire, typically you're not hiring them to replace you in all facets of the business. It's just you need them for a specific role. So that's why, defining it, as you say, is very crucial at the start.
And it's probably a perfect segue into, you might know why you want to hire. You want to achieve this, or you need to solve this problem. That's all in your head.
Yeah.
And now it's trying to go, okay, I've got to get that down on paper. Writing a job description, man, it sounds like, I don't need that. I know what the job is. I know exactly what the job is. But writing a job description is probably the single most important thing you can do.
Yeah.
Down on paper, keep it to a page, and really define, what do I want this person to do?
Yes.
To achieve, and how am I going to track that achievement?
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing I find, because that part that you just mentioned, when you're a small business and everything's on your shoulder, you often just go, I just need someone to help. And that's the risk, that you hire someone to go, I need you to do this. I just need you to be me. I just need you to be like me.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're not like you. They're not an owner. They didn't take the owner risk. They don't need the owner stress. They might want to finish at 5 every day, and it's their right to finish at 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Writing down the job description is the most important thing you can do.
Yeah, and we've done that for our business not long ago as well, defining everyone's role again, and just putting who's responsible for what, and all that sort of stuff. And obviously, coming up with that job description and why you're hiring and what are they going to be accountable for is very critical in, how you obviously track their performance in the long term, and all those other steps that we're going to go through now, I guess, in this next sort of.
And I'm saying, define the job role it's going to flow into obviously your job ad, but it's also just, I think, a point of reference for their career, hopefully in your growing business.
Yeah.
Coming back to that job description, because like I said, when it gets busy and you're a small business owner and you've got someone sitting there, it's so easy to go, can you just do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you save my life?
Yeah.
Can you solve this problem? You're like, was that their job? If their job is to be a lifesaver, man, it's going to be very tiring for that employee to go and do all this kind of stuff. If they know what their job is, they know how to exceed, and they show potential to do other stuff, amazing. But hire for your problem. Don't hire for the future potential that this person, he or she, could be your business partner and your 2IC.
Yeah.
Hire for your problem that you need to solve.
And going back to that point, you don't want to blur the line between, employee and business partner.
Yep.
Whereas if, for example, you've just hired someone to solve all your problems, essentially that employee might feel as though they own a part of the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then obviously when the rewards don't come in,
you have a disconnect.
Yeah, because they've just received a salary, maybe you don't pay them a bonus.
Yeah.
There's no profit share or anything like that. Then that particular employee is going to feel like as if they've missed out on something because they've been working very hard to get to a certain point. Whereas, having that job description plus it may be a career progression pathway, they can potentially work towards a business partner role or something like that.
But it is important, right? Not to make them feel like, not to make them feel like not an owner, but not to let them take on the stress
of an ownership. Yep. And not receiving a reward for that.
Spot on. I think that's one of the things. And obviously defining a job description is around getting the words right, make sure you have your brand in there and like the culture and the fun, and then, also before maybe you might have it on the job ad or not, is knowing the pay, right?
Yes.
Knowing what you're going to pay them. Is that market? And if it's above market, then your job description should be longer than the jobs that are out there. If it's maybe below market, it should be very succinct job description that I'm not going to delineate from.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
So once you get that job ad out, or what they're going to do, the biggest change I found is now you got someone else in the office.
Yeah. How do I work with someone?
How are you going to work with them? Because when you're a solopreneur, you're just single in an office doing your thing. You can do whatever you want. Want to turn the TV on? I'm turning the TV on.
Yep.
I'm done for today. I'm just binning out. I'm going home. I'm locking the door. I'm done.
Yeah.
Your mood in small business goes up and down sometimes, right? We've all faced it. Sometimes I'm just like, man, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I am tired. But now you are responsible for someone. You're responsible for keeping their energy levels good. You're responsible for keeping their headspace good. You're responsible for getting productive, quality work out of them. Sometimes you're not ready for that.
That's right. And then not only for industries that work in an office, if you are a tradie and you need some hands-on from an apprentice, your first hire, you also need to show them how to do the work.
Got to be there.
To be there. What time are we starting? How are we working together? Making sure you show up with a smile and not, I'm tired and things of that nature. Obviously, what you portray is going to go on to them as well. So if you're tired, then they're going to act tired. So you need to have a lot of energy. Yeah, you're the role model for that particular. Most of the time, they're going to be a younger version of you, hopefully, and they'll look up to you, I guess.
But I think, acknowledging that there is just because someone's coming in to take some work off you, your time is probably going to be filled up taking care of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Watching them, making sure they're good, they're happy, training, being available to answer questions.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing. Sometimes a lot of people think, hiring will solve the issue of capacity, but unfortunately it
takes
doesn't
time.
At the start. There's probably 6 to 12 months lead time where you are spending a lot of time training, discussing why you do things certain ways, I guess just showing them the rope. Just by plugging in a certain person, it doesn't necessarily mean they're just going to be able to take care of everything.
Things take time. I don't know about you. Every time I started a new job, man, it was 3 months. I used to go home with a headache every night because I just didn't know what was going on. Now, fortunately, I had managers and staff and people around. But in a small business, in your first hire, the only person around is you.
Yeah.
So, this is where I think when you write down your job description, which was the point before, and then you think about how you're going to work with them, this is where those two can be in conflict. Because if you write a huge technical job description and then you go, well, how am I going to work with them? Oh, I'm not. They're just going to do their work. And then you go, well, how are they going to do all this without my help? Am I going to pay to get a very senior person? Maybe not in small business. And so
maybe
that's
not as your first hire.
Maybe not as your first, but if you are, great, but then you have to think about the cash flow. So this is that kind of vicious cycle where I think people stop hiring because they go, I don't have money to pay for the best person. I don't know why I'm going to hire. If they do come in, I don't know how to manage them. it is daunting.
Yeah, it's very hard.
But you have to go through this process of write the job description, figure out how you're going to make it successful. I'm going to have team meetings.
Test that scenario, yeah.
Test the scenario ahead. I'm going to have team meetings. I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock for a workflow meeting. We're going to work 9 till 5. Fridays, you're going to work from home.
Yeah.
Really think about your day that you're currently having and go, well, I'm going to plug this person in. How am I going to track their work? What if I'm on site for 3 days? Are we going to have a joint calendar, a joint to-do list? There's a lot of things you need to think about operationally, not just someone comes and sits there and they're magically productive and making you money. Yeah, they're going to
do all the tasks that you've assigned or something.
So like, that working rhythm, which is super difficult unless you pay someone with great experience who just can run their own ship.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really important to think about their job description, what you're paying them and what that means for the quality of that person and how you're going to work.
Yeah.
So I think the rhythm is really, really important. Once you've got that down pat and you feel like, we're going ahead, interviewing.
Yeah, then there's the interview and getting someone across the line to actually join. And, like obviously you need to assess them and they obviously have an opportunity to assess your business as well. And when you're a small business...
Yeah, welcome to my cardboard box. I work at home on the couch. That's what I was when I started.
That's
I got nothing to offer. It's like, what are you offering? Like, man, I'm offering nothing. I need you more than anything.
Exactly. When it comes to an interview process, it's two ways. The other person's also assessing whether or not they want to actually join you as well. So, obviously putting your best foot forward also during that interview process and explaining them, your vision as to why they're going to join your business. Like, what do you envision in 5, 10, maybe or a couple of years' time? Like,
I think
with your business is very important as well, because not only that, they will also be, maybe they'll join the team thinking, okay, there's a lot of career progression here.
Yeah.
And, eventually there's going to be some promotions down the track. And if I've joined early on in this business journey, maybe I can
ride the wave.
Yeah, a really good wave, and accomplish something with a team.
And I think with all that also, it's good to be honest. Like, and say we are a small business. A lot of people, I think big business gives you some amazing skill sets. Small business gives you some amazing skill sets. So when you're hiring and you're sitting down with someone, it's okay to convey to them that, these are kind of the areas that we're not good in the business, but that is why you're coming. Or I need the person I'm hiring to focus on these areas, or my strength is this, not this. So, being honest and realistic, I think is the best, because the last thing you want to do is hire someone on a false pretense. Correct. They come in and they go, oh, I didn't think my job was going to be like this, or I didn't realize this. And then
they had all these expectations.
And it weren't met.
They were nowhere near met, and obviously it's going to be a big problem.
And so that's like one aspect, just being open and honest and thinking about that. But then actually the process, like how are you going to run your interview process? Are you going to be a hard ass? Are you going to have psychometric testing? Are you going to have tests if you're an apprentice or a chef or whatever it is? Making sure every single candidate has the same process, and making sure you're going to ask questions to make sure you can make decisions. I fail. I'm the worst at this. I just go and I have a yarn, I have a chat, I just dribble talk. Yeah. And at the end, I'm like, man, that was a great candidate. Yeah. And 10 people, that was a great candidate. Like, who are you going to pick? I have no idea. And what are we going to do now? I'm going to waste time having a second interview.
Yeah.
But I think your interviewing process, just always remember, I need to ask as clear, concise, non-intrusive questions to make a decision. Yeah, and that's okay to have 2 or 3 or 4 decisions or 4 interviews, but you want to be able to take the pool and narrow it down.
Yeah, narrow it down, exactly. And the other thing is, like, it also does depend on the industry, right? So, like, obviously us being in professional services, we probably have a little bit more of a robust interview process, because, and maybe 2 rounds of interviews just to narrow down the candidates. But if you're a small business and let's say you're in
fish and chip shop.
Yeah, you're a fish and chip shop.
Man, you just need someone.
You just need someone to dunk some fries into some oil. So like, it might just be maybe
just their attitude.
Attitudes. Are they smiling? Can they communicate well?
Yep. Do they turn up on time to the interview?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you're just ticking off a few things like that, and
we're on.
You've got a staff member.
Because and spot on. The risk of that going wrong is not that bad. In our industry, in professional services, if something wrong was said, we are liable. In the building industry, if something wrong was built, that's a problem.
Yes.
It's a very, very big defect. So understanding the importance of the interview and making sure you give yourself adequate time to prepare and attend that interview, make them know what the job is. So I think that's the next thing. The last two are kind of very administrative, but I think very, very important. I was making sure, again, this is your first hire, right? So they're coming into just you.
So
making it special.
Yeah, exactly. Make day one special, right? Yeah. So like it's essentially understand what you're going to be doing. And typically in day one, it's a bit of a, you show around.
Yeah, it's a celebration.
Show them around.
It's tools.
Happy days. And essentially you might introduce them to a few, clients, potentially maybe on the first day if there's some clients coming through the door, and letting the clients know that, there's now a hire and, potentially, you work with both of us. So I think that makes the person feel a little bit special as well. Like if you obviously make them feel like they're at home, I guess.
And then, just making sure, I think it's important to have your stuff ready. Like, have the laptop,
Correct.
Have the logins, have the IT access if you need it. Just make sure they come and they go, oh, great, I can start to do work. Not just come and go, oh, I need to set up your Gmail, that takes an hour, or I have to go to a meeting, and they're just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. I think your first impression is very, very important. And making sure they feel welcome and a part of a team and they're excited. Sometimes maybe you take them out for lunch and you spend the quality time with them.
Yes, yeah. And then obviously from there you would lead into like, I guess, what happens from the first month, 6 months, 12 months. Are we going to do some reviews?
Yeah.
How do you give them feedback? Do you do official feedback?
Yeah.
Maybe in the first 3 months or 6 months, or do you do official feedback every month?
That's a tough one.
Like these are quite tough sometimes, and obviously for us, we have like a defined feedback process where it's there's.
But that's now.
That's now. After
6 and a bit years in, right? 4 and a bit years in. At the start, it was...
You don't really know. Like, it's essentially you get your first hire and you're just sort of rolling with the punches. You don't really think about...
Days and months go by.
Especially day 1 to, I think, day 30, you should technically have planned. We can't sit here and say we did, but...
No way.
If I was to revisit this again, I would probably have day 1 to day 30 covered in a sense of maybe day 1 to day 5 is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
Certain training needs to be done from day 1 to day 3. Then 4 and 5, you need to understand the back end of the system.
Yeah.
Maybe have a look at the work papers.
Yeah.
That's obviously in professional services, but
there's a defined path for 30 days. But
so if you can do that in your business,
happy days,
then that's great.
And then just that process, I think of there's giving feedback for the work, which I think in small business just happens day to day, right? You don't have time to sit down formally every day and go things. It's just like, oh, you didn't do that right, and obviously you can improve on this. But then taking a step out of the day-to-day operations and asking them on a monthly, quarterly, whenever it is, just as long as they know there's a safe space to talk about issues later on. If it's monthly, maybe. I think monthly is ideal, or bi-monthly, maybe at the start. So you can ask them, how are you feeling? Not like outside of work. How are you feeling in terms of the job? Are you bored? Are you not? Do you need more training? What are you working well in? I think having that ongoing review, like, again, I struggle at this because it's hard.
And it goes both ways again, right? So like you would ask them how you're feeling, but there's an opportunity for you to also ask them, is there any feedback on my end that I need to change, right? So like, do I improve the way I give you work? Do I improve the way that I, review your work? Or like, am I too slow in reviewing your work? Am I not giving you enough information? Are you just, sort of sitting there trying to figure it out yourself, when they can just technically ask you? And that goes for all, like most businesses, right? So like, if you're a tradie and you just say to someone, just go and patch up the wall or do this, maybe they don't know where to start. Whereas if you give them the opportunity of maybe giving you a bit of feedback in the sense of, when you tell me your task, maybe just give me a 2-minute rundown and that will set me up for the day.
I think you will find in doing that, you will find a lot of great things to help grow your business when you get input and feedback from them. Because remember, this person, most people who start a job also want to do well. They want to give feedback. When it's a small business, their success is seeing the business grow as well. So it's a great opportunity to ask them, what would you do differently, or just things to just get them thinking that they can help with different aspects. So I think, day one and the ongoing is a nice, important thing. And then really, so once you've kind of tackled all that kind of stuff, I think you have a really good foundation for working well with someone. And obviously, we're going to tackle the last little part, which is the administrative side.
Just a bit of admin side,
You can do all this well, but man, if you don't pay them on time, it's just a shit show, right? It's exactly. An utter shit show.
So, like from an admin side or accounting side, obviously you speak to your accountant first, and typically the process is, the new hire will need to fill out a Tfn Declaration, which is essentially just a single page form where they just give you some details and their TFN, etc., and that will enable you to enter them into your system. From there, you'll obviously need some superannuation details. So there's a super choice form that they can fill out, and you've got your super details. Your accountant will need to register for that pay-as-you-go withholding tax registration, which is a quarterly registration to begin with. And essentially what that is each time you run your pay run or your payroll, like weekly, fortnightly or monthly or whatever the case may be, there's obviously some taxes that are deducted from that. The pay-as-you-go withholding registration allows you to remit the taxes to the ATO each quarter. And then obviously you start thinking about work cover, insurances. Do you have the correct insurances in place, work cover, etc.? And then from there, obviously the accountant will help you register for the single touch payroll, set them all up, and then you can run your pay runs. But then obviously it's like cash flow, right? So like, have you
weekly, fortnightly, monthly
correct,
payroll?
Have you thought about that?
Are you sweeping for these taxes
correct.
And super and stuff like that? It's really
that's
important.
Right. So like, or have you saved up enough money for you to have maybe a 6-month runway at it, or things of that nature? So obviously there's a lot to consider from that end as well, and you'll speak to your accountant and maybe they'll give you some
it's just
tips.
Important to realize that the last thing you want to do is have a great working relationship and then miss super, or this is admin things get in the way. And I think if you can tackle all these 6 things, and it sounds like a massive task, but if you go like from top to bottom all the way to just knowing what the admin is, I think you'll feel a lot more confident in the process. Now, your hire might go well, might not, but you just want to give it a well-rounded approach, and hopefully these kind of little things that we've gone through, so like knowing why you're hiring, defining the job description, understanding you're working with them, your interview, day one and ongoing, and admin. If you can just take time out and do all these things before bringing on someone,
a lot easier.
I think it makes it a lot easier. And we hope that this is not your first hire and you learn from it, but I think we'll wrap it up there. The episode's gone for about half an hour, so we appreciate if you're listening to the end. Obviously, Oz and I love bringing these to you, so if you have any feedback, you can email us, jump on our website, check out YouTube and Spotify and all that kind of stuff are out there, but we really appreciate it. So thanks again.
Cheers.
Bye.